This weekend, the Sascoc Athlete Indaba will take place after a successful Olympic Games where South Africa won a total of 6 medals. The weekend will also see the National Olympic and Paralympic Organization being visited by the IOC President, Thomas Bach. Leading the conversation for the athletes will be athlete rep Khotso Mokoena. He joins us now. Very good evening and welcome to Newzroom Afrika. What are some of the main items on the agenda for the Athlete Indaba?
Thank you, and very good evening to you too. Before we jump into that, we are now in the third. This is the 4th year now. We are hosting the Athletes Indaba, and the most important topic for the Athletes Indaba is to debrief how the year has been. You know, how the athletes have been through the year. What have they experienced, and what do they feel that can be improved? You know. What was overlooked that can be improved so that we can also start planning the road to LA as well. So those are the very important discussions that we want to have. But within all of that, we are also having discussions on female participation, women empowerment, young girls transitioning into sports, as well as athlete brand management. We think those are very important factors to ensure that athletes have a successful career.
You mentioned that the Athlete Indaba was a new item that Sascoc decided to put onto their agenda every single year. What have been some of the positive outcomes that you've seen over the last 4 years for the athletes?
Yes, I mean, when I was still competing, we certainly did not have a platform like this. So a little bit jealous, but also very excited that we are finally able to bring the things that are important for the athletes. We've also, over the years, especially this year, we've noticed that some of the outcomes that we had from last year's Athletes Indaba was most athletes were going through a lot mentally. A lot was happening within their own life, within their own personal space as well. So we introduced where we take our sports psychologist with us, to assist the athletes. And since they've been working with the athletes since 3 years ago, this year we had one of the most or the best Olympic Games performance from our athletes, also coming from COVID. So we really think that, the outcomes such as mental health assistance, those are the things that really took place and they've shown. I mean, look at the courage that the athletes still had at the Paris Olympic and Paralympic Games this year.
You mentioned female participation is going to be on the agenda, but that is not solely the responsibility of the athletes. They can encourage their peers to get involved, but ultimately it actually lands on the administrators to ensure that administrators, perhaps coaches, that they get them involved. And I suppose that more participation is going to be needed. If South Africa is to reach that goal of Gates and McKenzie saying that we want to take 300 athletes to the next Olympic Games, what do you, as a former Olympian, knowing what it takes, make of that?
Yeah, I think, it's a fantastic plan. I think what that will do then is, it will unearth a lot of talent that we've been overlooking. Not necessarily saying that we want 300 athletes to go out and win 300 medals at 2028 Olympic Games, but we're saying that, we want to be able to unearth and also, to ensure that we now become inclusive in terms of the talent that we've not been able to see. It's time to go out there and get that talent so that we can, start building a very strong database of athletes that are going to take over going into the future as some of the current medalist athletes start to retire, so that we can start bringing new crop in. So I really think that's a very important agenda that the minister has laid to the table. And in fact, it shouldn't just be from the government point of view, it should also be from the school's point of view. The schools should start playing a really, really big part in ensuring that we assist this goal that we have at hand. It's a very important one.
Support is always crucial. Many athletes self-fund their Olympic and Paralympic dreams up to a certain point. How will more athletes at that very crucial stage where they perhaps need support and where they're not necessarily on the radar of those that select the OPEX recipients, how will they be supported with Sascoc?
Yeah, obviously at this point, Sascoc has a very bigger platform or should I rather say a very helpful platform called OPEX, Operation OPEX by Bidvest. You know, there's 3 tiers on that program. We've got tier 1, you know, sort of your top elite athletes, and tier 2, sort of the athletes that are going into that mode of becoming your elite. And then tier 3, where that's the development of the athletes that are coming into the space of becoming elite athletes. So that's definitely another model where the athletes will fall into that in terms of support. And of course, there's more support from Solidarity. There's more support from the NLC itself. There's more support from the sports rec itself. So I really think that there's possibility for more support to come into this plan of getting the LA 2028 the Operation 300 on its way.
What about our Paralympic athletes? We saw at the most recent Paralympic Games that the world has forged ahead in disability sport. South Africa, to keep pace with the rest of the world, are going to need to bring in fresh new talent. What is the sense among the athletes regarding the development that's happening when it comes to disability sport?
Yeah, I'm very actually, I was super excited to see, you know, the courage that you know the para-athletes brought to the Paralympic Games this year. You know, when you talk about how fast the world is moving, young athletes, you know, young para-athletes, and that did so well. There's also young boys who are still in high school as well in those teams, you know. So I really think when it comes to the development, the federations are doing a really great job. It's not an easy task to work with the Paralympic qualifications, because there's different classifications, and most federations are also learning about this, and as well as the athletes are also learning about this. So I really think the development in terms of this is coming quite well together. So I'm really looking forward to what we can produce when the Youth Olympic Games are coming up in 2 years' time, the Commonwealth Games are coming up in 2 years' time, and then the big one in 2028.
Khotso Mokoena is the Sascoc athlete representative, chatting to us about the Athlete Indaba, which will be taking place this weekend in Johannesburg. Thanks so much for your time here on Newzroom Afrika.